Imagine the scene. A bustling courtroom in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, where justice is supposed to be blind but often wears tinted glasses. A black woman in a crisp military uniform stands tall, her medals gleaming under the fluorescent lights, only to be slammed against the wall by two white cops screaming slurs that echo through the halls. But what if that one phone call she makes from the holding cell isn't to a lawyer? It's to someone who can turn their badges into dust. If this hook has you on the edge of your seat, craving more tales of triumph over injustice that hit home whether you're in the USA or UK, smash that subscribe button now. Join thousands who demand stories that expose the raw truth and deliver epic comeuppance. Subscribe today and never miss a narrative that shakes the system. The sun hung low over the sprawling city of Atlanta, casting long shadows across the marble steps of the Fulton County Courthouse, a place where the scales of justice tipped unevenly more often than not. Sergeant Aisha Thompson, a decorated veteran of the United States Army, stepped out of her SUV that morning with a sense of purpose etched into her every movement. At 35 years old, she had seen the horrors of war in Afghanistan and Iraq, where bullets flew and lives shattered in an instant, but nothing prepared her for the battlefield she was about to enter, one disguised as a hall of law. Aisha was there to testify in a high-profile case involving police brutality, a case that had gripped the nation for months. The victim was a young black man named Jamal Harris, gunned down during a routine traffic stop, his only crime being driving while black in the wrong neighborhood. Aisha, who had been off-duty and nearby, had witnessed the entire incident from her apartment window, capturing it on her phone before rushing down to render aid. Her video had gone viral, sparking protests from coast to coast, and now she was the star witness for the prosecution. Dressed in her full dress uniform, olive green jacket adorned with ribbons for valor, purple heart pinned proudly, and pants pressed to perfection, Aisha exuded authority. Her dark skin glowed under the Georgia sun, her coiled hair neatly pulled back into a bun that met military regulations. She carried herself with the poise of someone who had commanded platoons under fire, her brown eyes sharp and unyielding. As she ascended the steps, she nodded to the security guards at the entrance, flashing her ID. They waved her through without a second glance, but inside, the atmosphere shifted. The courtroom was packed. Journalists scribbling notes, family members of the victim wiping tears, and on the defense side, a cluster of off-duty cops in civilian clothes, their stares like daggers aimed at her back. The trial had been contentious from the start. The accused officer, Detective Mark Reynolds, was a 20-year veteran with a history of complaints but no formal reprimands. His union-backed lawyer painted him as a hero under siege by thugs and activists. Aisha took the stand, her voice steady as she recounted the events. The flashing lights, the unnecessary escalation, the shots fired into Jamal's back as he complied with hands raised. The prosecution played her video, the courtroom falling silent except for the gasps. But during cross-examination, the defense attorney tore into her credibility. "Isn't it true, Sergeant Thompson, that you have a personal bias against law enforcement? Your brother was arrested years ago, wasn't he?" The questions were laced with innuendo, implying she was fabricating details for revenge. As the day wore on, tensions boiled over during a recess. Aisha stepped into the hallway to grab a coffee from the vending machine when two uniformed officers, Patrolman Derek Hayes and Kyle Benson, approached her. They were friends of Reynolds, their badges shining like badges of impunity. "You think you're some kind of hero, huh?" Hayes sneered, his face flushed red, veins bulging in his neck. He was a burly man in his 40s, with a mustache that hid a perpetual scowl. Benson, younger and slimmer, chuckled nervously but followed his partner's lead. "Coming in here in your fancy uniform, stirring up trouble. We know your type, always playing the victim card." Aisha turned slowly, her coffee cup in hand, meeting their eyes without flinching. "I'm here to tell the truth, officers. That's all." But Hayes wasn't done. He stepped closer, invading her space, his breath reeking of stale cigarettes. "Truth? You people wouldn't know truth if it bit you. You're just another affirmative action hire, aren't you? Parading around like you're equal." The racial slur that followed was whispered but unmistakable, a venomous word that hung in the air like smoke. Before Aisha could respond, Benson grabbed her arm. "You're under arrest for disorderly conduct and resisting an officer." It was absurd, no provocation, no cause, but in that moment the hallway erupted. Aisha didn't resist. She knew better. "What are you doing?" "I'm a witness in this trial," she protested calmly, but Hayes twisted her arm behind her back, slamming her against the wall. Onlookers gasped. Phones came out, but the officers barked at them to back off. Cuffs clicked around her wrists, cold metal biting into her skin. As they dragged her toward the exit, Hayes muttered, "This'll teach you to know your place." Down in the basement holding area, Aisha sat on a hard bench, her uniform rumpled, medals askew. The room was dingy, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, the smell of bleach and despair thick in the air. She had been stripped of her phone initially, but protocol allowed one call. The booking officer, a weary middle-aged woman named Maria, handed her a landline receiver with a sympathetic glance. "Make it count, honey." Aisha's mind raced. She could call her lawyer, her unit commander, or her family. But she remembered a number she had memorized years ago, one given to her in a hushed conversation during a Pentagon briefing. It was for emergencies only, a direct line to someone who could move mountains. With steady fingers, she dialed. The line rang twice before a crisp voice answered. "Office of the Secretary of Defense. How may I direct your call?" Aisha identified herself, rank, serial number, the works. "I need to speak to General Harlan immediately." Code word, Eclipse. There was a pause, then the click of transfer. General Elias Harlan, a 4-star general and one of the highest-ranking black officers in the military, had mentored Aisha early in her career. He was now the Undersecretary for Personnel and Readiness, with influence that spanned the globe. "Sergeant Thompson? What's going on?" Harlan's voice boomed through the receiver, concern evident. Aisha explained quickly. The arrest, the racism, the context of the trial. Harlan's response was swift. "Stay put. I'll handle this." What followed was a chain reaction that would unravel lives. Back upstairs, the trial resumed without Aisha, the judge noting her unexpected absence with irritation. But whispers spread. Videos of the arrest were already circulating on social media, tagged with hashtag racist cops and hashtag justice for Aisha. By the time court adjourned, the story had hit national news. CNN ran a breaking alert. Decorated black veteran arrested in courthouse while testifying against police. Meanwhile, in the precinct where Hayes and Benson worked, the shift sergeant chuckled at their report. "Good job keeping order, boys." But their smugness shattered when the captain burst in, face ashen. "What the hell did you two do?" "The Pentagon just called the chief." Phones rang off the hook. Reporters, civil rights groups, even the governor's office. General Harlan didn't stop at a call. He mobilized a memo to the Department of Justice, alerting them to potential civil rights violations. The FBI's Civil Rights Division launched an immediate investigation. By evening, Hayes and Benson were suspended without pay, their badges confiscated. But that was just the beginning. As night fell, Aisha was released with apologies from the district attorney, who personally escorted her out. "This is unacceptable," he muttered. But Aisha knew it was damage control. She returned home to her modest apartment in Decatur, where her husband, Marcus, a software engineer, waited with their 2 kids. "Mommy's okay," she assured them, hugging tight, but sleep evaded her. The incident replayed in her mind, fueling a fire. The next day, the twists began. Investigations revealed Hayes had a history of racial profiling. Dozens of complaints buried by the department. Benson, it turned out, was his nephew, hired through nepotism despite failing psych evals. But deeper digging uncovered a ring. Reynolds, Hayes, and others in a secret chat group sharing racist memes and coordinating cover-ups. The FBI raid on their homes yielded evidence. Phones, computers, linking them to unsolved cases of brutality. Aisha's call had shattered more than lives. It exposed a corrupt underbelly. Reynolds' trial collapsed. He was convicted, sentenced to 25 years. Hayes and Benson faced federal charges for hate crimes, their families torn apart as wives filed for divorce amid public shame. The department underwent a purge, with the chief resigning in disgrace. But the story didn't end there. Aisha, propelled into the spotlight, became an advocate. She testified before Congress, her uniform a symbol of resilience. Twists emerged. A whistleblower revealed the defense attorney had tipped off Hayes about Aisha's bias, orchestrating the arrest to discredit her. The attorney was disbarred. Years later, Aisha rose to colonel, mentoring young black soldiers. The courthouse steps now bore a plaque honoring Jamal and others. Her one call had indeed shattered lives but rebuilt justice.